Oh, yeah.
please rise in body and spirit for our gathering hymn, number 1008, 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place, in your teal hymnals.
My name is Jagmeet, and I'm a member of this congregation. Colette Bowler will light our chalice. Please join me in our chalice lighting words found in your order of service. We light this chalice, symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, to remind us to connect in spirituality and service, to care for each other and the world, and to create loving community.
Beloved community is a big idea that talks about the kind of world we want to live in. A world of beauty and goodness and love. Beloved community is where we want to end up in the end. In religion, eschatology is the way we think about where we end up in the end. Radically realized eschatology talks about where we end up in two ways, the already and the not yet. What does that mean? Already is about now. We already live in a world that has beauty and goodness and love. We get to experience that beauty and goodness and love now, and we get to feel grateful for that. But the world is not perfect, and that's the not yet. There is room for more beauty and goodness and love. And the beauty and goodness and love we have now inspires us to create more. It gives us hope for a better world. Because of that beauty and goodness and love that we experience and the gratitude we feel, we work for a world that is filled with beauty and goodness and love for everyone. This is the only world we have. We see beauty, we feel grateful for that beauty, and we want to create more beauty. We see goodness in the actions of those around us. We feel grateful for that goodness, and we want to do more good in the world. We are loved. We feel grateful for that love. We want to spread more love in the world. We have hope for a more beautiful world because of the beauty we know now. We have hope for more goodness in the world because of the goodness we know now. We have hope for a more loving world because of the love we know now. We work for beloved community because of all the ways that we experience beloved community right now.
Welcome to worship at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Greensboro, where we already are in beloved community and work for the ways to bring it ever closer when it is not yet here. I'm the Reverend Sadie Lansdale, and I'm the minister of this congregation. Unitarian Universalists believe that each person has a trustworthy relationship with the Spirit, with the holy, with the source of all life, with what some call God, though we name it and know it differently from one another. And we believe that because we are interconnected, no one's free until we all are free. So we strive to build beloved community here on earth, in our fellowship with one another, and in our work for justice. Whether today is your first or your 1000th Sunday with us, we are stronger because you are in our midst. We are one people of many beliefs, many origins, sexualities, and genders. We are all growing, all learning, and all loved. Our ministry team here at UUCG is Cindy Dillard, our Director of Children's and Youth Ministry, Julie Hamilton, our Congregational Administrator, Colin McCrae, our Director of Music, and me. We're thrilled to welcome back Chelsea Morrow to the drums. Chelsea, thrilled to have you with us again. And our very own Larry Porter will be playing piano today, and I am given to understand some days in the future. So Larry, thank you for that gift. Your cell phones are not invited to join Chelsea, Larry, Colin, the choir, and all the rest of us in making beautiful music. So please make sure they're on silent and raise your voices in our church covenant.
A covenant contains the promises we make to one another in response to the great gift of living, holding ourselves to these holy aspirations. Will you join me in our church covenant? We, the members of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Greensboro, do covenant to promote a search for personal meaning, respecting the individual truth in a community process of quest, speak and act with caring, courtesy, and love, thereby maintaining emotional, physical, and spiritual safety for all. Support UUCG and denominational efforts with our resources, combat injustice while promoting equality, nurture our children on their spiritual journey, hold ourselves to this covenant, especially during times of conflict and disagreement. Our opening hymn today is number 121, We'll Build the Land, and we are going to use the phrase siblings in spirit instead of sisters and brothers. Please repeat after me, siblings in spirit.
Siblings in spirit.
One more time. Siblings in spirit. Please rise in spirit for our opening hymn.
Helpfully write siblings in spirit in your hymnal to help the next people who pick it up. Someone has very helpfully done that to mine. I think many of the choir probably have that in theirs. So ours is a living tradition, and one of the ways it is alive is that we are free to edit. If there are empty seats next to you, can you raise your hand? Great, okay. So if you're raising your hand and you hear the door open, wave the good people over. We're getting full, and it can be hard to see from the back where the seats are. So if anybody else is coming in, just make sure we're guiding them to us.
If you're joining us in the sanctuary, won't you wave hello to everyone joining us online? And if you're online, go ahead and introduce yourselves in the chat. If you're in person, let's greet our neighbors.
walk with you, and sing your spirit home. Courage, my friend, you do not walk alone. We will go with you, and sing your spirit home. Courage, my friend, you do not walk alone. We will go with you, and sing your spirit home. How beautiful it is to be together. We gather in gratitude this morning, turning our hearts to thanks and praise for the gift of living, in the presence of the Spirit that animates all life, knowing that we are deeply connected to all that is, all that has been, and all that will be. During these few minutes of silence, you can focus on something you're grateful for, someone you are remembering especially today, or just the sensation of your chair supporting you. Will you find the most comfortable place in your seat and take a few easy breaths as we settle into our shared silence together? What echoes in your heart? You're invited to offer it up to the holy and lay it down in community in this sacred time together. If you're online, this is your time to share your joys and sorrows with one another in the chat. If you're in person and you have a milestone you'd like added to our prayers, you can fill out a yellow card, which the ushers will collect from you. If there's a joy on your heart, place a plant from our grounds in the vase. And if a sorrow, place a stone in the bowl. Light a candle of prayer and presence for someone you're holding close to you. If you're not sure how you're feeling, or maybe you're a little fidgety, there are pipe cleaners in the back, mandalas to color, or you may have brought your own needlework, which you should feel free to do. In church, we practice becoming more fully human together. This is our time to take stock of how we arrive here and to take what we need, knowing the table is set for us all. Will you join me in prayer and presence? We name aloud or in the chat those people on our hearts, living or dead, near or far, that this community might hold them in prayer and in love. Held by silence and song, we offer our joys and sorrows alike, knowing they are woven fine. Alexis Webb says, my dad lost his uncle this week. Wishing peace for his family. Prayers of peace to you, Alexis, and to your whole family. Rebecca Kay says, Michael Kay will have disc replacement surgery on Friday. The Kays appreciate good wishes for a successful procedure and easy recovery. He has been in pain for a long time. Prayers of healing and ease for you, Michael, and for your family. Phoenix Putney says, in loving memory of Martin Luther King Jr., may his legacy live on. John says, I saw my best friend for the first time in 3 years, as well as his hopefully soon-to-be fiance. Prayers of gratitude, John, for your friendship and for the joy in his life. Mary Davis is going to become a grandmother in May. Prayers of joy and gratitude, Mary, for this good news in your life and your family. Spirit of life and love, God of many names and beyond all naming, source of all. Remind us that in the beloved community there is room for whatever hides away in the recesses of our hearts. May the joy that fills us up spill over into a power that helps to remake the world. May the sorrow inside us be met with tenderness and turn itself into the source of love, which helps to remake the world. May the sacrifice of those who have gone before inspire us rather than lead us to despair. And in the terrors and the busyness of living, may the biggest love we can imagine surround us and keep us. We ask these things for ourselves, for those we love, and for those we do not yet love. Amen. Courage, my friend, you do not walk alone. We will go with you, and sing your spirit home.
Now we invite our children and youth to go to the RE wing for snack and fellowship. Go in peace, go in love, go in joy.
Every week we say something about the beloved community. Can anybody tell me what it is? Yeah? Who knows the words? We strive to create the beloved community. Where? Here on earth. Through? In fairness, I say it. You guys just hear it. So, we strive to create the beloved community here on earth in our fellowship with one another and in our work for justice. What is beloved community?
Where we all put up with each other.
Where we put up with each other. A crucial ingredient. Yeah, a crucial ingredient. Is it faces in places politics, where those who occupy the upper echelons of power are not anymore only white men, but the structures themselves remain unchanged? No. Is it that? No. Is it our church exactly as it is without any changes? Something majority white communities mean by beloved community or diversity sometimes is like exactly this, with like a few more people of color who come quietly and don't make anybody who's already here uncomfortable. I'm serious. Sometimes this is what majority white churches and communities intend when they talk about diversity. And it's sort of creepy, you know? It's a little gross. It's like, first of all, we don't really want you here that much. Or else it's like treat people like Pokemon, you know? It's like a gotta catch 'em all sort of thing. This is terrible. Okay, it's terrible manners. If it's ever happened to you, I'm sure you hate it, and you feel like I am not a Pokemon. Actually, I'm a human being. Okay, is it that? No. Is it just being nice to each other? No. I mean, we should, you know, but like that's not it. So I've been working with the Religious Affairs Committee of the Greensboro branch of the NAACP to host an event yesterday at Genesis Baptist Church called the Radical King Conversation. At this event, a local poet, Demetrius Noble, shared some poetry uplifting King's legacy and its relevance for today. And he started by saying, my daughter came home from school when she was 8 or something, or younger, with a piece of paper she had drawn. It was a lot of hands on it, and they were all colored different colors. This is for MLK Day. And he said, "What's that?" And she said, "Well, you know, Martin Luther King told us all to be nice to each other." So, is it that? No. Is it sort of a nice way of saying, a better situation than we got right now? Whatever this is, this ain't it, so it's just something better. Is it that? Okay. Okay, there's like, we're catching glimpses, maybe? Directionally correct. Okay, so we're on the road to discovering what actually is beloved community. Here's a question. Is it real? Oh, well, that's a head scratcher. Is it real? It depends on what you mean by real. Amazing. Okay, great. That's great. So our Time for All Ages gives us a clue. This video was created by my colleagues at the UU congregation of Nashua, New Hampshire. When we say beloved community, as you all know, we're talking about radically realized eschatology. Which is what you talk about over lunch with your friends. The already and the not yet. Something we work for. Something we yearn for. And something we sometimes catch glimpses of in our earthly life that motivates us to create it ever more fully. The concept of the beloved community as such comes from the early 20th century philosopher Josiah Royce, who defined it as a community in which everyone is cared for, absent of poverty, hunger, and hate. In 1913, Royce wrote, "My life means nothing, either theoretically or practically, unless I'm a member of a community." And he observed that besides the actual communities which make up our experience in our daily lives, there's also this ideal, beloved community made up of all those dedicated to the cause of loyalty and truth. Royce did not see the community as a static object, but as an all-embracing, radical idea of unity for the whole human race. Royce was interesting. He was a racist, but not in the way that you might think for the early 20th century. So at the time, a scientific racism was very popular, especially among liberals. mean that creepy stuff where they measure like people's skulls, phrenology and eugenics, all the creepy stuff. So he rejected scientific racism, that there's a biological basis for differences in things like poverty rates and education, and et cetera. However, he did embrace a kind of cultural racism, so he saw colonization as a civilizing force, which would bring out the best qualities I heard a huh. Yeah, right. So he saw colonization as a civilizing force, which would bring out the best qualities in the people being colonized. Presumably they didn't have any of that stuff, whatever these qualities are. They didn't have it before, so they had to get given it or made to do it through violence and exploitation. He left that part out, kind of. And so it's a civilizing force that would produce the appropriate kind of cultural values from which the beloved community would ultimately emerge. So the question is, right, so this guy is an interesting sort of racist for the early 20th century, and his idea of the beloved community was taken up by one of the foremost champions of civil rights in the country ever. So King carried forward this idea of beloved community. For his purposes, he gave it teeth and popularized it, put flesh on its bones, instead of this, instead of a sort of, proper culture, like vibes-based beloved community. He envisioned a political and economic order, free of the evils of racism, economic exploitation, and war. I've heard the three evils of kings that King describes named racism, poverty, and war. And it's important to know that poverty is not an accident. It is a result of exploitation. So we're going to get rid of the word poverty. We're going to put in economic exploitation instead, which he did too. But it's like the children's version is we should all be nice to each other. Like, oh no, instead of like, how did this happen? Instead of like, we live in a society that produces it on purpose. Okay. So, a great admirer of Mahatma Gandhi, King says the aftermath of violence is always bitterness. The aftermath of non-violence is the creation of the beloved community. So that when the battle is over, it's over. And a new love and a new understanding and a new relationship comes into being between the oppressed and the oppressor. The way of acquiescence, the way of agreeing to the order of the day, leads to moral and spiritual suicide. The way of violence leads to bitterness and survivors and brutality in the destroyers. But the way of nonviolence leads to redemption and the creation of beloved community. So on the other side of the conflict, where we bring the heat to the evils of the day, on the other side is the beloved community. The kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God, beautiful future. Centers established in King's name spell it out like this. Dr. King's dream was of a beloved community, a global vision in which all people can share in the wealth of the earth. Poverty, which we will replace with economic exploitation, hunger and homelessness, which will not be tolerated because international standards of human decency will not allow it. Racism and all forms of discrimination, bigotry, and prejudice will be replaced by an all-inclusive spirit of sisterhood and brotherhood. International disputes will be resolved by peaceful conflict resolution and reconciliation of adversaries instead of military power. Love and trust will triumph over fear and hatred. Peace with justice will prevail over war and military conflict. Our speaker yesterday at this Radical King conversation at Genesis Baptist reminded us that integration was not the end goal of civil rights. The end goal was for Black people in particular to experience the fullness of economic and political freedom, which is their due. The right to vote and integration were a means to that end. Nonviolence, similarly, a means to that end. How often now Deviance from King's stated tactics are criticized, as if people are punished for not following exactly in his footsteps, forgetting that his footsteps got him killed. But the powers that be love a martyr and love to teach us all that he died so that we could be nice to each other, and then go back to homes in redlined districts and schools without adequate funding and Superfund sites leaking toxic waste into majority communities of color. The civil rights movement has not ended in Black people experiencing the fullness of economic and political freedom, which is their due. The means to deny such freedom have just become sneakier. It's hard to see the tactics confused for the goal when considering King's legacy. It's also hard to see that legacy co-opted, turning into prayer breakfasts with police and my colleagues and I often snark about the invitations we receive to Martin Luther King Day prayer breakfasts with elected officials who do not work against the evils of racism, economic exploitation, and war, and in fact sometimes profit from them, and then televise the celebration of the legacy of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And we roll our eyes at these interminable interfaith services that seem sort of more like a who's who and a clergy ego parade than any kind of movement building at all. But the truth, at least for me, is that I don't mostly find those things funny. I find them desperately sad. It hurts how far we are from the world we dream of, how tamed the message of the man who led the movement, how stripped of power and prophecy. It's not that I mind holding hands, just so long as we're going in the same direction. And yet, a few weeks before Christmas, Muslims for a Better North Carolina and Siembra NC put together an event they called Mamas for Ceasefire. They made kites, wrote a card to Congresswoman Kathy Manning, and brought us all into her office to demand a vote for ceasefire. And who was there? Spanish-speaking immigrants and their children holding kites to symbolize the dreams of the children of Palestine. Black folks, white folks, brown folks, city workers, the rabble-rousers who show up at everything, looking for people who share their rage and underneath it, their very broken hearts. Palestinians in their keffiyehs, some of them in their hijabs, proudly walking in with their new comrades, feeling devastation about their homeland and encouragement that never in their lives have they felt such support in this place for the plight of their people and the cause of their freedom. Holding hands, singing together, watching each other's children, speaking plainly. Calling for an end to U.S. aid to Israel and an immediate ceasefire. Showing up there after picking up their kids from school to prophesy to the halls of power. Because the Congresswoman would not take a meeting with us, we stood outside with an improvised, home karaoke mic setup, and the children were offered a chance to share what was on their hearts. I've made the mistake of thinking that some of what I learned in school that simplified, tamed, domesticated the legacy of the freedom fighters was that way because you have to put things simply to explain them to children. A mistake, because we handed the children these microphones and they see clearly, that war and racism and economic exploitation are evils. They are baffled. They are dumbstruck by why things are the way they are. And since that day, so many people have died in Gaza, some from bombs, many from disease and starvation. An end to the evils of economic exploitation, militarism, and war. How many members of the beloved community are buried under the rubble? And how many survivors form walls of hatred around their devastated hearts? Here is my only consolation. It is ever and always worth it to try. Josiah Royce wrote, "Though the success of this high cause lies in the unreachable future, the meaning of our response is manifest in our present lives." We strive to create beloved community here on earth in our fellowship with one another and in our work for justice. Our work for justice at this moment as a congregation, it must be said, remains largely aspirational. Aspirations are important. They inspire us. But it is for us to put flesh to them, to put bones to them, to put teeth to them. There is no one person, there is no one leader in here or out there or in history who will emerge with the right plan and the correct wisdom to overcome the challenges of our age. And it's painful to face the not yet. How many of us find it hard to admit when our actions don't line up with our values? I do. Is that hard for anybody else? You're like, oh, I believe all these things. Then you look at how you spend your money and how you spend your time, and then you go, and sometimes it doesn't feel so great, you know. As if it's a test we're failing. That there is no judge who will pronounce a sentence, there is no referee keeping score, and there is no teacher giving us a grade. There is only love for the world so strong it breaks through our distractions, and a community that helps us find our strength. I am flooded with pictures of genocide. I hear King's condemnation of the evils of our day, racism, economic exploitation, and war. I consume media full of horrors more than I act against the horrors. I think I'm not alone. It's possible that you consume media full of horrors more than you act against the horrors, or you feel so swamped that you just refuse to consume the media about the horrors at all, but then you feel sort of stuck knowing what's happening and that mostly we don't have a hand in it. But this is what a church is for, to have a place soft enough to admit that. Sometimes I imagine the sanctuary filled with beanbag chairs and massage chairs and mirrors and weights. A church is a hospital and a gym. A place soft enough to admit it and encouraging enough so we can dust ourselves off and try again. Save your life when it needs saving, and change your life when it needs changing. Let us be known as the ones who tried, the ones who showed up, who sat in the beanbag chairs when we needed to, checked ourselves out in the mirrors, and got to work lifting the weights. The ones who did our best to grow our courage, the courage that this time demands of us. Is the beloved community real? Already and not yet. I imagine us making macaroni art and showing it to God. Look at this insignificant, sloppy representation of heaven on earth that we have made. We hold a vision of the world where the captives go free, where the oil of gladness dissolves all mourning, and with our humble materials, we assemble our paltry imitations. Glue, string, broken promises, hurt feelings, hard choices, people left out in the cold, infighting, poor strategy, self-centeredness, fear, shame. It must be said that we have not yet made our masterpiece. We weep over the bodies of the murdered and the martyred, wherever they are. We hold our children and we weep for those whose children have gone cold. Our hearts grow large with all we are losing, large enough to embrace every last person in every corner of the earth, large enough to withstand the devastation bearing down on us. Hear this. The strength of those whom we call prophets, and the call of all people of faith, is the ability to love the already, even as it breaks our hearts, and to face the not yet, even as we long for it, to face the many-headed hydra that is the interrelated evils of our world, to allow its devastation and consequences to break our hearts entirely, and to grab hands with one another, with our broken hearts yet beating, and to make meaning in what we find together, no matter how small. Is the beloved community real? Yes and no. The call of all people of faith is the ability to love the already and to long for the not yet. I find it very hard to do that alone, and am ever, ever encouraged by you, by colleagues, by friends, by people who set their sights on the mountaintop, on the kingdom of heaven on earth, on the beautiful future, on the capital B, capital C, beloved community in us and around us and yet to come. May it be so for you and so for us all. Amen. You can stay seated. We're going to learn our song of response, and then you can rise when you are medium confident that you've got it. I'm going to lift my sister up.
I'm gonna lift my sister up. She is not heavy. I'm gonna lift my sister up. She is not heavy. I'm gonna lift my sister up. She is not heavy. If I don't lift her up, if I don't lift her up, if I don't lift her up, I will fall down. Brother, if I'm gonna lift my brother up, he is not heavy. If I'm gonna lift my brother up, he is not heavy. If I'm gonna lift my brother up, he is not heavy. If I don't lift him up, if I don't lift him up, if I don't lift him up, I will fall down. Neighbor, if I'm gonna lift my neighbor up, they are not heavy. If I'm gonna lift my neighbor up, they are not heavy. If I'm gonna lift my neighbor up, they are not heavy. If I don't lift them up, if I don't lift them up, if I don't lift them up, I will fall down. People, I'm gonna lift my people up. We are not heavy. If I'm gonna lift my people up, we are not heavy. If I'm gonna lift my people up, we are not heavy. Us, if I don't lift us up, if I don't lift us up,
One of the ministries of this church is our Minister's Discretionary Fund, which is available to anyone in a tough spot. We can help with medical bills, rent, groceries, or other needs. Reverend Sadie's email and phone number are on the back of your order of service, or you can contact the church through our website. We share the plate with organizations that make a difference in our community and beyond. This month's recipient is the Interactive Resource Center, or the IRC for short. The IRC invites people experiencing homelessness to be part of a supportive community free of barriers. They provide services that help our Guilford County neighbors reconnect with their own lives and with the community at large. They promote dignity, respect, connection, and empowerment in an environment where trust and relationships matter. The IRC engages those they serve in building their own progress toward a life without homelessness. If you'd like to make a contribution for our offering to be split with the IRC, you can do so at the link in the description of this video. You can mail a check or you can text to give with the information in your order of service. Ushers will come forward to collect the offering, which will now be gratefully received.
Colin, will you give the good people a starting note?
We are going to a place where music falls and fills up everything. Falls and fills up everything. It might be a long time.
Oh, it might be a long time.
I know it's gonna be alright.
I know it's gonna be alright.
'Cause we've already started to sing. 'Cause we've already started to sing.
Let's try and put that all together.
We are going to a place where music falls and fills up everything. Though it might be a long time, I know it's gonna be alright. 'Cause we've already started to sing. We are going to a place where music falls and fills up everything. Though it might be a long time, I know it's gonna be alright. 'Cause we've already started to sing. We are going to a place where music falls and fills up everything. Though it might be a long time, I know it's gonna be alright. 'Cause we've already started
you join me in our chalice extinguishing words? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Our teachers may go to their classes with our blessing. If you're online and you'd like to get more connected, you can click the link in the description of this video and fill out our contact form so we know how to get in touch with you. If you're in person, fill out a pink card at the visitors table, or go on the website, fill out the contact card so we'll know where to plug you in. Adult religious exploration today will be in the sanctuary, focusing on how the service speaks to your life. So run out, get your coffee, and come back and come to share or come to listen. It's a great way to get connected. We have a new member class coming up Tuesday, January 30th and Thursday, February 1st, 6 to 8 in the evening here, childcare available on request. So we know the Saturday time that we've been doing for the last year or so has not worked for quite a number of you who wish to join and couldn't make the class. So we're hoping that this is a little more convenient. Beloved community involves a lot of logistics, you know. Go from this place with a song in your heart, even if it's broken by the already. Be encouraged by the not yet. And even if the distance to the not yet causes you to stumble, grab hold of the hands next to you in the already. Though it might be a long time, I know it's going to be all right. We've already started to sing. Amen. Place your hands over your heart for our benediction hymn, Shalom Havarim. This is a Hebrew song that means peace, dear friends, until we meet